The Whispering Tree and the Courageous Heart. In a quiet village nestled between golden hills and soft, flowing rivers, there lived a young girl named Eliora. She had kind eyes, a curious mind, and a heart that beat in harmony with nature. Every evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, she would sit by her window and listen to the whispers of the wind. Eliora's grandmother often spoke of an ancient tree deep within the Werden Woods, a tree so old that its roots were said to touch the bones of the earth. This tree, the Whispering Tree, would speak only to the pure of heart and only when the world truly needed a voice of courage. Most people thought it was just a tale, but Eliora believed. One stormy night, the village elder announced that the river that fed their crops and drinking wells had suddenly stopped flowing. Without water, the fields would dry, the animals would perish, and the people would suffer. Many suspected a blockage or curse, but no one dared go beyond the first few miles into Werden Woods. The forest was vast, twisted with legends of strange creatures and illusions. People feared getting lost or worse, never returning. Yet Eliora stepped forward. "I will find the Whispering Tree," she said softly but firmly. "I will ask what is wrong." The villagers gasped. Her parents begged her not to go. The elder frowned with contempt. But in her heart, Eliora knew this was her path. Her grandmother pressed a small stone pendant into her hand. "This will keep your spirit strong," she whispered. With only a satchel of bread, a flask of spring water, and her grandmother's pendant, Eliora ventured into the misty woods before dawn. The forest greeted her with silence. Birds hid. The leaves did not rustle. Even her footsteps were swallowed by the mossy ground. As hours passed, the trees seemed to twist and bend subtly, as if watching her. Still, she pressed on. A fox with silver fur crossed her path, pausing to look at her with ancient eyes. She bowed her head in respect, as her grandmother had taught her. The fox blinked and disappeared into the shadows. After days of walking, sleeping under roots, and sharing berries with squirrels, Eliora came to a clearing where the air shimmered like glass. In its center stood the Whispering Tree. It was massive, its trunk as wide as a cottage, its bark marked with ancient runes, and its branches reaching toward the heavens. A breeze danced around it, whispering unintelligibly. Eliora stepped forward. "Great tree," she said gently, "our river has stopped. Please tell me what I must do." The tree remained silent. She waited, sitting at its base, eyes closed, listening to the hush of the forest. Night fell. She stayed. Rain came. She stayed. Days passed. She stayed. Only when she stopped asking and began listening, truly listening, did the tree whisper. It was not with words but with feelings. Sadness. Pain blocked life. A cry of nature itself. She saw it in her mind's eye. A boulder had collapsed upstream, burying the sacred spring from which the river flowed. But more than that, something deeper was wrong. The forest had been wounded by greed, poachers, selfish loggers, and those who took without giving. Eliora wept, not from fear, but from love for the forest. The tree's energy embraced her, and the runes on its bark glowed faintly. It gave her a gift, a leaf, unlike any other, silver, veined, warm to the touch, swelling with purpose. And so began her return. "Place this on the heart of the stone," a voice inside her whispered. She bowed deeply, heart. Leo, the little dog who waited in the quiet mountain village of Glenfall, where the air was always fresh and the grass stayed green even in winter, lived a small dog named Leo. He wasn't a fancy dog, no ribbons, no pedigree, but he had the softest brown eyes and a heart that beat with pure love. Leo belonged to a kind old man named Mr. Ansel. Mr. Ansel had raised Leo from the time he was a pup, feeding him biscuits, reading him poetry, and walking him every evening through the pine trails behind the village. They were more than owner and pet, they were family. Every morning, Leo would walk with Mr. Ansel to the bakery where Mr. Ansel worked part-time. Leo would wait outside on the little wooden bench, wagging his tail, always smiling at children who passed by. He never barked, never wandered, he just waited. One rainy day, Mr. Ansel left as usual. "Be good, Leo," he said, patting his head. Leo sat on the bench. He watched the drops fall from the awning. He waited, but Mr. Ansel never came back. The village found out later that Mr. Ansel had suddenly fallen ill on his walk to the bakery and had been taken to a hospital in the nearby town. No one had the heart to tell Leo. So he waited. One day passed, then another. The villagers fed him, gave him water, and offered to take him home. But Leo wouldn't budge. "I made a promise," he seemed to say with those soft, patient eyes. Weeks turned into months. Leo still waited. Rain or snow, wind or sun, he was always there, on the bench, looking toward the bakery. Children started leaving him snacks. Teenagers sat beside him to talk about their worries. Elders would nod at him in the morning, comforted by his quiet strength. Leo became more than a dog. He became a symbol. And then, one spring morning, when the snow had just melted and flowers peeked through the earth, an old man with a cane slowly walked up the street. His eyes searched for something. Someone. "Leo?" he called softly. Leo froze. He sniffed the air, turned his head, stared. "Leo!" Mr. Ansel cried, tears running down his cheeks. Leo leapt from the bench and ran like the wind, tail wagging, eyes shining, straight into his friend's arms. They had been apart for over a year, but to Leo, it was just a long wait for someone he loved. After Mr. Ansel was taken to the hospital, the villagers did what they could. They knew he had no close family, only Leo, and Leo had become something special. At first, people assumed Leo would leave. A few tried to coax him home. "Come on, little guy," said Mr. Howard, the grocer, holding out bits of sausage. Leo took the sausage, wagged his tail politely, then returned to his bench. He looked down the cobbled road, then up again. He waited. Mrs. Dahlia from the tailor's shop brought him a blanket when it snowed. "He'll freeze out here," she whispered. But Leo curled beneath the bench and stayed. The bakery owner, Miss Clara, was the first to understand. She began putting out a small dish of warm milk and bread each morning. "If he's going to wait," she said, "at least let him wait in comfort." Soon, Leo became part of the morning routine. School children started petting him on their way to class. A few left drawings of dogs in the window above the bench. "This one looks like Leo," they'd shout. He always wagged gently, politely, as if he knew his job was to wait, not to run. And wait he did. Rain came. He stayed. Snow came. He stayed. The summer sun blazed. He stayed. Some days were harder. When thunder cracked the sky, Leo would tremble beneath the bench. The villagers tried to take him indoors, but he never stayed long. He'd always return. His heart's too full of loyalty, Miss Clara sighed one afternoon. And as weeks turned to months, something strange began to happen in Glenfall. People began changing. The boy who used to throw stones at cats sat beside Leo every morning before school. He whispered apologies, and Leo let him rest his hand on his back. An old woman who never spoke to anyone began leaving scraps of fish for Leo. One day, she spoke to Miss Clara. "I had a dog once," she said. Voice cracking. "He reminds us," said the mayor, "what it means to love without condition." They began calling the bench Leo's post. A small wooden sign was carved and hung above it. "For those who wait with love." A traveling painter passed through the village and saw Leo sitting under the morning light, ears perked, gaze fixed down the street. He painted Leo and titled the piece, "Hope on a Bench." The painting hung in Glenfall's town hall. By the end of that year, Glenfall was no longer just a sleepy village. People visited from far off just to see the little dog who waited. But no matter the attention, Leo stayed the same. He didn't chase cars, didn't bark, didn't even nap unless it was safe to do so. He simply waited. His heart, though small, was stronger than steel.